Today's lesson is on functions, so we're going to be doing function notation and substituting into functions today. Tomorrow we will be doing composite functions, Thursday we'll be doing inverse functions, but today we are just going to look at function notation. You've seen lots of functions before, so if we have y equals 3x plus 2, for example, that is a function. It is a function in terms of x. And if we said x equals 2, then we could find y by substituting 2 into that equation or function. If we use slightly different notation, so if we use function notation, instead of calling this y, I would say it is a function of x. So I would say f of x equals 3x plus 2. And then instead of doing x equals 2 colon and working it out, I could achieve exactly the same thing by saying f of 2. So what happens here is wherever I had x in the original function, I'm going to replace it with 2. Because this function takes whatever is in the brackets and multiplies it by 3. So I'm going to take whatever's in the brackets and multiply it by 3. And then it adds 2 to that. So you can see we get the same thing, it's just different notation. Here, y is a function of x because it's in terms of x. Here we've called it f of x instead of calling it y, and that's the only difference. We can use other letters as well, so f of x is a function, but we could also have g of x as a function, we could have h of x as a function, we could have anything, we could have t of x as a function, we could have alpha of x is a function. It doesn't matter, this is all just saying that after the equals sign, we're going to have an expression that's going to be in terms of x. So these all just denote that we have a function. Let's say this one was 2x squared minus 4. That would mean that whatever goes in here, we square it. The squared is only attached to the x there. Then we multiply by 2 and then we subtract 4. So the first example we're going to do is this one. F of x equals 30 minus 2x squared. And we need to find f of 4 and f of negative 2. So I'm going to write out what I'm finding, f of 4. And then if I look in the original equation, this function takes whatever's in the brackets, it squares it, it multiplies it by 2, and then it subtracts it from 30. So I'm going to do 30 minus 2 times 4, because 4 is replacing x, squared. So I get 30 minus 2 times 16, and that leaves me with negative 2. For part B, it's exactly the same method. I'm doing f of negative 2, and that would be 30 minus 2 times negative 2 all squared, which would be 30 minus 2 times 4, which would be 22. And that is it. That's all you do when you substitute a value into a function. Anywhere, so if it's f of x, anywhere that there was an x, you now substitute in that number. And you make sure that you apply the operations in the correct order. So here the squared is only squaring x, it's not squaring this 2. So we do that first and get 16. Then we multiply by 2, then we subtract from 30. If we have a function that's in terms of a different letter, nothing changes, it's exactly the same. So this is saying f of t equals 3t squared plus t. Find f of 2. So t is now being replaced with 2. It doesn't matter that it's not x, it's still exactly the same concept. So f of 2 is going to be 3 times t has been replaced with 2, so 2 squared, plus t has been replaced with 2, so 2. So I have 3 times 4 plus 2, which is 14. So that should be enough for you to do exercise 1. Have a go at all of those questions, please. If you want to just choose 3 from each question at first to have a go at, so say 1 A, B and C, 2 A, B and C, 3 A, B and C, and do all the parts of those, you can, and then watch example 2 and do those questions. But any questions you don't finish in between the 2 examples, you do need to complete for homework. So if you want to pause the video and have a go at exercise 1 now, you can. I'm going to go on to example 2, which will mean you can do question 4. So example 2, it's the same function as in example 1. We've got f of x is 30 minus 2x squared. But this time, instead of evaluating it, we're finding f of 2t. So we're putting a different variable expression in. Nothing changes compared to the method we used for the last example. Do exactly the same thing. So we want f of 2t. So anywhere that there was an x before, there's now going to be 2t. So this function starts with 30 and then subtracts 2 lots of whatever was in the brackets squared. This 2 is not squared. This 2 is, because this 2t is now going to replace x, so the whole of that will be squared. So 2t all squared is going to be 4t squared. And we simplify it as much as possible. We get 30 minus 8t squared. We cannot simplify it any more than that. So that is it. That's the end. This is our answer. That should mean you can now do question 4. As always, if you get stuck on any questions, please comment on Show My Homework and I will record a video on how to do them. Please remember to do all parts of all of the questions. If you don't do them all today, you do need to do them by the end of the week.